We can now bring in Yannis Koutsomitis, European Affairs Analyst and Managing Editor of Kappa News. Thank you so much for joining us here on France 24 today. Now, migration policy will, of course, top the agenda today. Why is migration once again back in the spotlight when it comes to the EU?
A couple of reasons for that. First of all, we've seen Germany's reaction last month when there were a couple of terrorist attacks in Germany from migrants that were committed by migrants. And that created a whole reaction of the public opinion, and also the German government lost 3 elections in eastern states. So this has created a move by the German government. I considered it a knee-jerk reaction in order to stem off the flows, the secondary flows of migration within the European Union from the southern countries towards Germany and Scandinavia and other Central European countries. And they put some checks on the borders as well to try to stem these secondary flows to Germany. So on the other front, Italy has moved in creating these reception hubs or pre-arrival hubs in Italy, where it's hosting migrants that have to be refiled or have to wait for their application to be processed. And this has created a new legal blind zone within the European Union, because we can't really know if this move is legal or not.
So we're clearly going to see a rightward shift from the bloc. We also have a new government here in France who is quite hostile to immigration, we can put it that way. How is it that Spain sets itself so far apart?
Well, Spain is not suffering from secondary flows because it only has one front, and which is Morocco. And it has another totally other problems that has to face in, whereas Central European countries are facing secondary flows from all over entry points of Europe, from Italy, from Greece, from Spain, and they have a serious problem now in containing these flows in their states and their welfare system, and also there are huge backlog in the applications that need to be processed. And then people who don't get the right to receive asylum, they wait for months in order to be sent back to their home countries.
Yannis, but also countries like Italy is facing declining birth rates. The country does need immigration for certain sectors, like agriculture, for instance. What does it do then?
Well, this is the key of the whole debate. On the one hand, Europe needs a new workforce, needs a renewable population, because we are an aging country, an aging region. So on the one hand, we need flows that are regular, processed by the European authorities. And on the other hand, we can't have these irregular flows from the Mediterranean, from the Middle East and from Africa, because these create real problems in assessing all the systems that need to work in the various countries. And also they're creating some very serious security reasons. So on the one hand, we need a very generous migration policy from within the European Union. Yeah. And on the other hand, we need to have some key elements in order to stem the irregular flows from Africa and Middle East.
Yannis, we're also going to have EU leaders presumably call on Israel to de-escalate over in Gaza and in Lebanon, based on what we've seen over the past few weeks. Does the bloc have any sway at all in the Middle East?
I don't think so. We've seen that Germany has suspended some arms sales to Israel, but on the political front, I don't think that Israel really takes any of the European threats or even Monsieur Macron's threats seriously, because it is now engaging in a war against Hezbollah and Hamas, and possibly in a few days even a strike on Iran. And so they don't see Europe as a key partner in all of this. On the other hand, they face serious challenges from the American administration, because we've seen that they take these threats from Washington quite seriously.
They do take those threats seriously. I want to just end on Ukraine because, of course, up until now, throughout this conflict, the EU has pledged total support to Ukraine. Of course, a lot hangs in the balance. We don't know what is going to happen in the United States in a couple of weeks' time. Donald Trump may win the presidency and things will markedly change in terms of U.S. support for Kyiv. How long can the EU sustain its support if it's not getting the backing from Washington?
Well, this is a very difficult question for the European leaders because the US is putting up almost 80, maybe even 90% of the help, of the assistance that Ukraine gets for its war against Russia. If the US suspend their assistance, the Europeans do not have the capacity, even the will to replicate or to have such amount of assistance to Ukraine. So it will be a big issue for Ukraine if the US suspends its assistance with a new administration in place.
Yannis Koutsomitis, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you, sir.